We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest is LauraBeth Ryan. Well, you know, this lady's been through quite a lot. She's suffered a broken back. She's recently recovering from cancer, but none of that has held her back. She put her faith in the faith, and she knew that whether she understood it or not, it was here for a reason. She's here as owner of the Cheerful Hearts, and through her unique story of overcoming adversity and learning to find joy after tragedy, she became a motivational life coach, an inspirational speaker, and created a specialty inspirational gift line that speaks to the encouragement of joy to the soul. And boy, folks, do we need some joy to the soul. She has had this awful accident at 16, car accident, and then again at 18, and became debilitated with a spinal injury at 28. She knows well the adversities that life can present. Her faith in God was tested as her entire world crumbled, and she went from being a hands-on mom to 4 sons, aged 8 and under, to being confined to bed due to chronic pain. In her darkest hours, she cried out to God and found solace and comfort in the words that came to her from poetry, prose, and songs. Given time, she overcame her despair and pressed into God more deeply, learning to accept her situation and determined to make the best of life despite the difficulties. She fought her creative ways to parent her children and spent a lot of quality time with them in her room, which now became the family room. Reading stories, playing board games, doing homework, checking in points, talks, watching favorite shows, and they were all part of the norm. Once her boys were older, she knew that she was being called to share her poetry and her story with others, and to offer everyone going through difficulties a sense of comfort and hope. She has given the name Cheerful Hearts about 10 years prior a vision, and one day she'll have accompanied, provided good medicine to the soul. So as I said, she's just literally come back from, I won't go say fighting cancer, because when you know that cancer is just there to tell you something and you're not always knowing what it is, it's there to face cancer and the challenge that it gives and go, okay, I've had this challenge before. I know what to do with this. And I am going to be optimistic, put my hands in God, and see where it takes me. Welcome to the show, LauraBeth.
Well, thank you. And thank you for that introduction. It's really a pleasure to be here. I have followed you for some time and I love I love and align with what you're doing in spreading hope and positivity and just goodness in the world, because boy, do we need that.
Boy, do we need that. You know, the thing is, the goodness that we're constantly seeking outside, we keep putting it in everybody else's hands. But that goodness lies within us. We don't like what's out there. We're the change we seek. We don't like the atrocities or the disruption or the hate out there. Then let us be the love. Right? We
Yes.
don't like the lack of connection out there. Let us be the connection. All of the answers lie within us. And sometimes you get a cosmic 2x4, don't you? Where let's give you a broken back and see how you manage this. And what you learn from that becomes your strength, becomes the inspiration that begets the invitation for others.
Yes. Oh, it is. You're just spot on. It really does. From going from a super active before the injury, although I did have the car accident which started it all. I recovered, was very young.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just thought I'm going to live my dream life, family. Back then, it was more people were, staying at home moms.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was a go-getter, so I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I did in-home daycare, help my ex-husband with co-create his company. I was always a dreamer
Mm-hmm.
and a visionary. And so but I loved, it was my vocation, it was my heart to be home with those boys and to be full on from morning till night, like this is a job. And
Yes, it
it, trust
is.
me,
It is.
to all the women out there who are staying home, you got the hardest job in the world.
And the biggest responsibility.
Yes, yes. So when I was pregnant with my fourth child, I'd had multiple injuries, but that particular one literally was just too much for my little already weakened body. And bent, I'm not even sure because there were several injuries, but that particular one, yes, I was pregnant with him, bent over to pick up another little one that was only 3 because they're all 8 and under. And just, all the things that had built, that one bent over and then rip right down the ligaments of my SI joints. And they're not supposed to rip.
No.
And so basically you can equate it to two dislocated hips, horrific nerve pain that they said there was zero hope.
Yeah. They always say that. I think it's something that, and it's tell everybody you can cure them, but also tell them there's no hope. That just seems to be kind of come with the territory there. And there is always hope. You may not get back to where you were, but there is always something that can come out of it and that you can deal with. I have learned with my disability to become partners with it. And we've learned to listen to each other. And there are the days where it says, I'm sorry, no, you need to take time out or I'm going to flatten you. And it's like, if I don't pay attention, I'm going to get flattened. And there are other times, can I push through a little bit? Okay, I'll be with you as long as you rest afterwards. And we've learned to have a communication.
That's fantastic. Many people are not aware that you really need to be in tune and listen to your body. And I believe had I listened to my body as I was, pushing it, living a very unconscious, fast-paced life, that I wouldn't have ended up with the spinal injury because I would have taken better care of myself.
Or allowed yourself to heal when you needed to heal instead of rushing back into life, which most people do.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And what we're taught to do, right?
Yes.
So you really
go get, overcome. It's all mind over matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and I have that in common. And it's not easy, but in actuality, like you said, how you have become friends with it, because when you fight it, as you say, your body rebels. It doesn't work. But when you embrace it and respect it, but not fear it, then you can manage it.
Exactly.
And it forces us to slow down. And because of that slowing down, it has created all the incredible things that I have created over the years.
Exactly. I mean, there's always a reason. We may not understand it at the time, but when we, why, you put me on a trajectory and then you gave me this, and I understand, for me, my energy, my cosmic energy or divine energy, it was too much. And for most people, just too overpowering. And so I was given the disease to slow my energy down.
Interesting.
And, as much as like, I don't want that, I just don't want to be that energy. No, that was the reason why I had to have it. And it's like, got to remember that you're still here to do a job and you can't have your energy be too high than the people you're meant to be working with, because we're all here to do a job.
You're right. And I am also very, super high energy. And what's cool is that, the resilience factor, what we're going to be talking about is that was developed through all of this, because now I had to learn how to maximize my time and use that energy efficiently.
Exactly.
Instead of the roller coaster or the treadmill that so many women are on.
Yeah.
People in general, but my passion is women. And the women that I coach are going so fast and they're reaching that success. They're professional, but they're miserable because they're not slowing down enough to even be mindful of the moments that are right in front of them.
For the 10 years I've been doing this and the numerous shows on people who have had what I call the redirect, they were all living up to that societal expectation that more is more and you've got to be here, and that when you get the car and the house and the this, that, you will be happy. When people revere your position and your title, you will be fulfilled. and they chase this illusion
You're
only to
right.
realize it's cost their health, or it's cost their marriage, or it's cost friendship, or it's cost them themselves, their
You're
own spirit
right.
and soul,
You're
right?
right. You're absolutely right. And they're, which is so surprising, the women, um, I've learned so much from the
Yeah.
women that I've coached.
Hmm.
And it's been a pattern and surprising to me, not as much anymore, but in the beginning, how I view these women as amazing, successful, high achieving women. These are women. I'll give you one example. One of my clients is a ophthalmologist, and she has two small children and her own practice and a husband that supports her. And she's doing great. I mean, she's what in the eyes would say successful
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
Yet she felt like, why is it all so hard? I'm doing all this, pulled in so many different directions and not feeling good about herself because she didn't feel like she was doing anything well.
Well, it's also you feel like you're walking up against the wind instead of the wind having your back. You're
Mm,
just simply going in the wrong direction.
you're right. And they've lost the ability to focus on what matters most.
Right.
And it brings me such joy to bring them back around and to show them it's possible, because many think there it is not possible, but I am proof,
Hmm.
because I have way much, I'd say 3 days to everyone's seven of
Mm.
really good days.
Hmm.
And so I tell them, if I can run a successful company, right, and take care of the many health issues that I deal with, to manage, to stay well, to have a marriage and a full life, I tell these women it is possible.
Yeah.
And it brings me great satisfaction as we go through my coaching program. By the end, they are living with such fulfillment that they've desired for so long.
Mm.
And whether it's a man or woman, whoever might be listening, because men have always had this problem.
Yes.
But as women have gone more and more into that leadership role,
Yeah.
which is a great thing,
Hmm.
um, we are not built the same. We are different.
Yes.
And men can compartmentalize a little bit differently, a little bit better. And they don't seem to have as hard a time with, when is the last time you heard a man saying, oh, I'm trying to figure out work-life balance? Very rarely.
Yeah. It's becoming more and more, fortunately.
Is
You know,
it?
it is. It is. And again, a lot of the men that I've interviewed reach that top pinnacle only to lose everything else around them and then go, why?
What was it
Why
all
am I doing?
for?
What was it all for? Losing
Mm-hmm.
everything. One guy actually did lose everything, found himself, and actually reconnected with his wife on the level, that they first started at, and changed his life completely. For most people, it was realizing they were chasing an illusional dream. And the big question they didn't ask themselves was, why are you doing it?
Yeah. And many people think the reason they're doing all of this pushing and striving and to climb that proverbial ladder, they think they're doing it for their family. They
Right.
think they're doing it for fulfillment or what success is. But the truth
Deemed
is,
to
like,
be.
yes, but we really need to work on redefining what
Yeah.
success is.
Oh God, you've hit the nail on the head. This whole thing about, how much it reminds me, actually, I used to live in South Africa, and I was on a beach, and this girl was there close next to me, and a guy comes up to it, and he's kind of strutting his stuff, and he goes, hi, how are you? What do you drive? How much do you make? And that's what came out of her mouth first, right? So
You
that's,
you witnessed
I
this.
witnessed it, and if I'm like, oh my God, that for her it is, what car do you drive? How much do you make?
Wow.
And it's like, if you're basing your relationship on that, but we have actually been conditioned that is what makes us important. The flashy car, the big house, the more jewelry, or the Armani suit, or the more we look rich, the more rich we must be. But what they've forgotten about is the enrichment of heart,
Mm,
soul, and spirit. They're
because that's
living
where
the
you're,
exterior
yeah.
life, and that's where the
That's
enrichment is.
and that's true richness.
It's
When you
absolutely, that's the
feel what you
abundance.
just what
Yeah,
you just spoke is the abundance,
yeah.
is the richness, and so many people don't know how to find it.
No, because they've been conditioned to chase the illusion,
Yeah,
right?
I was one of them. But in my
Mm-hmm.
20s, I was doing the same thing. And truthfully, I had a lot of insecurities and wounds from my past that if you had told me, people tried to tell me my past would have affected me. And because I wasn't an alcoholic or I wasn't the typical things you think of that a person that
Mm,
I went through go through, I was such a high achiever, not
yeah.
realizing that alone, overachiever, overdoing, overpleasing, that was my sickness,
Hmm.
codependency.
Yes.
You know, I went from morning till night. I never stopped. I didn't know that you could.
Right.
And because
There's
then what
this
do you,
thing called sleep, called rejuvenation and playtime and me
or just,
time, you know?
yeah, or just crashing to sleep to wake up, just
Yeah,
to go all over and nonstop, not give to
robotically.
yes, robotically, and to give to everyone else but yourself.
Right.
And it's totally
Debilitating.
debilitating. And like you said, the wrong programming.
Right.
And we got to work on changing that for a better world.
We do. I was kind of the oddball. Um, I was always the person, I was this disruptor. I seemed to go and work into companies and kind of end up disrupting it without knowing it. My boss would get fired, I'd be off the job because I'm showing what's not working. And mine was always kind of in the customer service or the sales, and uh, and then I never took any of the jobs because I realized that's what I wasn't there for. I was there to shake it up, right? So, but I never went into a job to do that. And I always got, well, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to stay at one job and achieve something? And if, well, I'm just because I'm not that long at a job, but I've achieved something different, but nobody could see that. Nobody could,
Could
the,
you see it?
I maybe not at that time, but at the same time, I couldn't be where my heart and soul couldn't be.
Okay. Yeah.
If my
I
heart and
understand.
soul couldn't be there, I couldn't be there. It was like somebody literally pushing against me. I had to go.
I understand. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure it wasn't well received in
No,
corporate.
no, no. And I was also a little bit too forthcoming in a very misogynistic world. This was back in South Africa, which was very misogynistic.
Ah,
And being a woman that spoke out,
yes, I
so
do.
yeah, it wasn't always popular. Um, but my own family, it's like I was a very sickly child, and I didn't finish school, so not at all academic. And it would always be, well, she's never going to amount to anything. Let's just hope she has a good marriage.
That's kind of was the talk that what you heard.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah. But I also didn't fit into the norm anywhere. And I did try. But
Hmm.
as much as I immersed myself into the me of who I am took over. Right. And then it either was a fit or it wasn't a fit. But
Mm.
what I realized, I was never meant to be in one place for a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
I was there to shake things up. I can look at that in hindsight. But from
Yes.
everybody else, I was just a drifter going from one job to the other.
Interesting. And I'm sure there was inadequacies because of the perceptions.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. So while you've got some people chasing this, I've got to be to the top for people to see me and admire me.
Hmm.
I'm going in there and kind of shaking things up, and I'm being looked at almost as a failure because I wasn't
Hmm.
reaching those heights that were meant to be the epitome of success.
That chasing, that climbing the
Yeah.
ladder. And
Mm-hmm.
because you're a caring person like myself, and other people who are real sensitive, we don't
Mm.
do well in the corporate because it's all about cutthroat. Who can you
Yes.
step on to get to the top? Whereas you and I are like, I can't hurt that person. She's my brother or sister, right? Or he, we care deeply about people, and we
Equality
want,
and justice and humanity.
yes,
Yeah.
and we want everyone to succeed and
Yeah.
rise.
And everybody can. The thing is, stop painting everybody having to have success here to be successful. I use the analogy a great deal. When you walk into a company and you're about to go up 8 floors up to the CEO to do business with them, if you walk into that building and it's dirty, what's your impression of the CEO?
You're
The
right.
janitor has set the stage.
You are
And
absolutely
whoever
right.
gives the janitor credibility or
Praise.
praise or acknowledgement, yet if that place wasn't clean and pristine, the
That's right.
image would change of the company immediately.
That's a perfect analogy.
Everybody
Yeah.
has a role to play.
And it's all important.
It's all important, all part of the equation. And, if it's for us to discover what is our role and not let the outside look in and judge what that role or demean that role because it's not this big CEO, the big whatever. It's
Yes.
where would you, we've seen this with the pandemic, right? The
Yes.
truck workers, the shop workers, the nurses, the
Yes.
janitors at the hospital, everything that they've gone through. Without them, where would we have been? They were
That's
our
right.
heroes.
They were. And, they weren't in the past per se. So
Right.
it's in that way, it's good that it shined a light on how
Yeah.
important and essential so many
Yes.
people are.
Everyday people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I've just done a Beatles movie show. So everyday people. So, um, but we get caught up in this trap of you're only successful if, it
Mm-hmm.
goes with the way you look. Are you thin enough? Are you blonde enough? Are you this enough? Are you that enough? Right?
Anything enough, fill in the
Enough.
blank.
Exactly.
Fill in the blank. If
And
you're a woman is in particular,
yeah.
are you, I mean, it's sad, but
Mm.
still I believe in this society, it's portrayed you need to be you're expected to say skinny, young, and beautiful, all those three things forever. If not, there's stigma.
Yes.
And I'm glad to see that changing. It is changing slowly. And I'm getting older, so I'm like, it's gonna have to change because I'm here to stay.
I'm
And you
67 and I'm still in my
see,
prime, right? I'm not going
I love
anywhere anytime
you
soon.
got I love hearing that. And you look young. Like you look, I really think it comes from the inside out.
It is an inside out thing. And, I don't know if you read that wonderful article on Facebook, which when I took from somebody else, it was Judy Dench, and a wonderful article that she wrote. And, Judy Dench is what, her 80s, and she's completely lined. But, the thing is about people like her, you don't see the lines. You see the essence of the heart and
You're
soul and spirit.
right.
They are so beautiful from the inside out that we don't look at the exterior anymore. We look at the abundance of that essence that they're willing to share with us. And that posting has had like 100 responses and shares just because it's meant so much to people.
I don't know that is that a recent post?
Yes, it is. And you'll see because it's constantly being shared. And
Okay,
Judy Dent sharing on age. And
I'm going
it
to go
relates to
share
us.
that. I
We
love
relate to
it.
it, right? And this whole stigma
Yes.
of getting older, the other stigma of when you have a disability or you're laid up,
Yes.
well, you're a
Yes.
cripple now. Or
Yes.
disability. What I love with somebody calling it differently abled.
Oh, I don't know that I've heard. I like that.
That's a nice
Differently
one.
abled
Yes,
because it makes you creative. It makes you resourceful.
exactly.
And guess the best part, as much as I don't like it sometimes, because I'm
Hmm.
very strong-willed, is that it makes me more dependent on a higher power.
Hmm.
Because I depend for so much more because I can't take the normal things for granted
Right.
as far as our health, right?
Yes.
As everyone else. So it makes you slow down and be more reliant. As a matter of fact, the whole 10-year span that I was in bed, I was already a Christian, like a strong woman of faith. So, because a lot of people think, oh, well, maybe you didn't come to a faith until after this happened. I was like,
Right.
no, I was the one in the church, in all the ministries, helping everybody else, taking meals to people. None of it made logical sense to what everyone wanted to make sense to, and it
Right.
didn't. But the bottom line is I pushed my little body too hard.
Yes,
That's the
you didn't
bottom
listen
line.
to your God, right? You didn't listen to
Yes,
the signs. They're always there.
I
Hindsight's 2020, but the signs are
correct.
always there.
Yeah. So had I gone, oh, the doctors say you can't lift anything heavy. And I'm like, I got little toddlers. I got to
Exactly.
lift them,
Yeah.
and I was all alone, like no family support,
Mm.
no. And that's another thing. America's like everyone lives in their own little world. And so
Bubble.
there's
Mm.
the we need community.
We need the village to raise the children.
We need
Yes.
each other, but
Yes.
everyone's living these separate, fast-paced lives. So no one's helping each other.
Right.
And everyone's running too hard, too fast. And those 10 years I was in the bed as bad as it was for me. I learned probably the biggest wisdom lessons that I will ever learn in my life.
Well, that's what I call the cosmic 2x4.
Say that
God,
again. Oh, the
cosmic two by
cosmic
four.
2x4.
You're
Yeah.
not listening to all the signs. I'm going to flatten you. Now I've
Yeah.
got your attention. Are you ready to receive the lesson?
Yeah, but I was so devastated. Not only because I didn't like being still.
Right.
Anytime you're a busy person and just stripped to nothing, that was depressing enough. But then all the stuff I was suppressing,
Yes.
hiding this fake smile,
Yeah.
not ever even knowing I was truly deeply insecure,
Mm-hmm.
trying to play this perfect wife, person, friend role that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even exist. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that was stripped from me. I had these children though, so I was devastated, felt like a utter failure.
Mm-hmm.
And for a time I was suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I had to find my why. I was like,
Yes.
I have these boys. I can't be thinking these thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get help. So,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I want your listeners to know is that, look, we can't always be positive.
No.
If you're hurting, it's okay. Reach out for support. I called, immediately found a therapist, and some of the things that he said to me right away, like I had to stop, I had to reverse the wrong thinking in my head. Like I'm important and worthy regardless of what I do.
Right.
It's who I was. But guess what? I didn't even like who I was. And I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know that
Yeah.
until I had to sit with myself. And so there's just incredible healing over those 10 period of years. So about, I don't know how many years into it when the boys got older, I had journaled for like therapeutic reasons and just the old fashioned notebooks. And I started waking up with these words just bubbling up, like
Mm-hmm.
pouring out. And it made no sense because I was depressed, but it was all these words of hope
Yes.
and poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a couple children's stories that I've got to publish one
Mm-hmm.
day, all about the happiest moments of child in nature. And I'm thinking, this isn't me because I'm depressed. So I know it's coming from a higher power.
Exactly.
And then words of comfort
Mm.
that like one of my poems is called If Only, and it's all about me saying if only I were better. and
Yeah.
and then at the end it turns around to something like if only you would listen, I'm here
Yeah.
for you. If
Right.
only, and it turns it around back to God.
Mm.
And it says, I know at the end, I think it says, I know you're hurting and I'm here for you. Just trust in me, something of that
Yeah.
nature. And so all of these poems would bubble up at the exact time, like my soul needed them. And I'd write
Mm.
them down, and also then songs. I wasn't even I sang in the choir, but I didn't know how to write music.
Mm.
And I would wake up singing an entire song. And I was happy. And
Yes.
so it did make, so this was this inner healing that was taking place over these years. And then once all the healing happened, I actually hired my own life coach because I thought I was given this just this knowing. The name Cheerful Hearts just
Yeah.
popped into my spirit. A Proverbs 17:22, a cheerful heart is good medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how I was going to end up encouraging and helping other people because it came to me when I was still thinking,
Yeah.
how this is not possible. I'm in a bed, I'm disabled,
Mm.
I'm not able to get out and share my story or anything. But what was so cool is I ended up hiring the life coach who also had MS. She was a business coach as well. She helped me the most out of anybody come to terms with pacing, right? Never
Mm-hmm.
even heard the term.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was in the bed, I had to pace my energies
Yes.
because of the pain. And even if you do a lot intellectually, you can get exhausted
Yes. I know.
emotionally, mentally. Yeah. So she taught me all about that. And then I said, listen, I know I'm supposed to open up this company, Cheerful Hearts. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And because I had her support and she believed in me, she's like, help me figure out how to do it. I hired an illustrator. We partnered, and then all my words matched with her illustrations. And I created a 30, it's over 30 gift and greeting cards from that whole
Mm-hmm.
10 years.
Right.
And some are like prints now that like go up on the walls, that all that inspire, and they meet people where they're at first, but then it always turns to the positive, always to hope. And so that was just amazing. And
Yeah.
I thought that was enough. But
Mm-hmm.
then my coach was like, look what you've done from a bed. You've raised 4 children. You've started this greeting card and gift company. I think you're meant for more. And so she hired me as an apprentice, and I fell in love with life coaching. And then I started being able to get out my wheelchair about maybe once a month and became a speaker originally to just to promote, share the story and to promote the greeting card and gift line. And it all just evolved over the
Yes.
years. It all evolved into Cheerful Hearts is, we inspire, empower, and educate women to rise up to be their very best, whatever that may be for them.
You see, you didn't say no, right? You
You're
allowed.
right. You're
You
right.
allowed. And, it is sometimes when we're in the darkest hour, and I know about depression and feeling suicide, I've been there, and I would never do it to my children. They're the ones that always held me back. But it was like, and I wouldn't kind of go and commit suicide, but it was like, if a bus hit me, it would be all right.
Well, you're just
that
thinking you'd be better off. It's not
yes,
even like
everybody
I
else would
wasn't.
be better off.
Yes, and you
Yeah.
believe the lie
Yeah.
that everyone around you're a burden, you feel
Yeah.
you're a burden. So all these lies, and it's not
Yes.
like you really want to die. You
Yeah.
just don't want to live in this body
Right.
in
You
a
want
way
the
that's a burden.
situation to die.
You know what? That's perfect.
Mhm.
It's perfect. Yes.
And then, but we've got to realize we can be our own rebirth. And I say to people all the time, when you're pregnant, you get the backaches, you're puking for the first few months. For me, I puked pretty well all the way through my pregnancies. And then the actual labor is backbreaking. It really is painful. But at the end of it, you have this child.
Yes.
That takes away all the pain, and you've never known such love before. Now imagine if you decided to birth yourself. And give yourself that same beautiful love as a new soul, a new being with all those possibilities in front of you, where you have the intellect to choose what you're going to paint on your canvas.
And the truth is, we can do that. This women feel stuck and they don't think that they can. But and that's why you find mentors and coaches and people who can show you and guide you to a better way.
The best teachers are those that have gone through it themselves, that know. I mean, they don't want to be told, it's okay, you can get over it, suck it up. We don't want to be told that. If you don't understand the pain we're in on a daily basis, if you don't understand that we have the struggle, well, we're not feeding the struggle, but the struggles do limit our full capacity to do. Correct. And if you can't work with me within those parameters, then you don't understand the challenges I'm facing. So therefore, how can you help me?
Absolutely. And people say the worst things.
Oh God, yes.
To people who are suffering. It just, I'm a super positive person, but I also, I probably would have been guilty of it before I went through everything I went through, right? But you have to meet people where they're at.
Exactly. And
in their struggle, and love them up out of it.
You're not supporting their pain. What you're doing is honoring the pain that they are living in, and you're helping them to nurture the pain more easily, to release it, or you're helping them to overcome the pain, find the strength to overcome the pain. But the one thing that people need to understand, and this is people who are completely healthy of body.
Yes.
But
it's
have been through trauma of mind.
Pain. Yeah. And so many people, especially women, they're hard on themselves.
God,
they don't speak well. They have no idea that their negative self-talk coming from their subconscious is completely hijacking their life. They don't even, they're not aware.
What you seed, what you water, what you nurture grows. If you're going to seed that negativity, what do you expect? We talk about the algorithms of social media. We are an algorithm. What we put out is what we're going to receive. Be very mindful, heartful, soulful of what you put out. Now, if you come from your soul, your divine intuition, through your heart's love, into your spirit's activity, when your mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. But if you come from the heart all the time, you will always come from kindness and caring. But you've got to be that kindness and caring for yourself.
Yes. This is I think what you would say is the missing link, right?
Yes.
Is the kindness towards ourselves. And the cancer that I went through for 3 years. I'm so happy to be getting back to work.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, my company had to be put on hold. And I
Yeah.
want people to know, wherever you're at, if your life has to be put on hold, it's okay. It doesn't feel like it's okay. And it doesn't mean that you can't come back stronger.
Yep.
You
You're just
can't
pressing the pause button.
pause. A long time ago, I used to get so irritated with the flares I would have, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd get depressed. And had to learn, like you said, to more accept
Mm.
and ride with the flow, because that depression doesn't help anything. As a
No.
matter of fact, it makes it worse. And so, I think women do that in the workforce, right?
Mm.
They might feel internally sad, but they keep going.
Yes.
And they keep going and they paint on that smile. I have many clients who said they were at the top of their game. They had what the world seemed it all, right?
Yes.
The clients, the financial success, they're going to parties all the time. But then they realized once they finally got there, oh my gosh, I was chasing the illusion and I'm
Empty.
not satisfied.
No.
And then talk about they're going to hit a real bad wall of depression if they don't get some help.
Yes. Because you realize that you've just invested all of these years to feel empty. But I always say it's never a waste of time, because when you decide to pull the plug on that and say, I'm now going to invest all that energy into myself. And as you invest that energy into yourself and you come out in this rebirth, you realize, no, I've got to follow the passion of what I want to do. Everything you've learned to be a success before can now be applied to that passion. It's never wasted years, because you take the best of everything that you learn, but you put it in the direction that not only serves you, but serves the people that you want to serve.
That's a beautiful point. And I think I'm glad you pointed that out so that people realize there is even hope. It's not wasted,
No.
because truly you've learned a lot of skills. You've learned a
Yeah.
ton and you've given your best. And now it's time to turn the tables on yourself and start giving yourself the best. And
Yeah.
the truth is, we actually perform better, give more love, are kinder to those we love around us when we slow down and
Mhm.
and not keep going in that rat race, hamster on the wheel. I can't tell you how many times if I overwork, I'm not a nice person.
Yeah.
I'm not my sweet, nice self. I can just be a bear.
Yeah. Yes.
And boy, now I'm aware enough to know it. Back then, I probably, yelled and snapped and didn't even realize it.
Yes.
But now, of course, that, I've gone through all that I have, I'm very aware. And I go, okay, I just need to not talk right now. I need to seclude myself, go out in nature, rest, and then you're revived again.
Right.
And that word rest
is not a dirty word.
No, people think lazy.
Yes, I know.
Oh, and the guilt
know.
we women feel if we sit still for 2 seconds. God forbid we do something nice for ourselves. That it's
almost we make ourselves slave labor.
You're right.
We don't need anybody else making us a slave. We've done it ourselves.
And part of that is great. I'm an independent woman, right? I'm strong, but this independence has also hindered women. We need other women. I'm married to a wonderful man. He's so vital to what I do. And if not, if I just was like, I could do it all on my own, I'm so independent, I wouldn't be here with this great man beside me.
Right.
So we need to recognize it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get support. And it's okay to say I'm not okay sometimes. And it's right?
Yeah. Stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. It's I've had people say, well, why do you tell people you have a disability? Doesn't that put a stigma on you? I said, if you're putting a stigma on me, that's your choice, not mine. Right? I own my disability, not as a shame or look at me, look what I can do through it. It is a part of who I am.
Just like
and I have to own that.
Pretty, are your eyes blue? I'm seeing blue. Just like you have pretty blue eyes. It doesn't define you, but it's part of who you are.
Exactly.
So you know what the only disability is a bad attitude. That's what I tell people.
Yes. And a lack of gratitude.
Yeah. And that brings me to my key points for the resilience factor. If people want to know how to be more resilient, the key, just the two you said, gratitude. I had to lay in that bed and go, I have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I literally can wake up every day and be sad that I'm stuck in this bed, or I can choose joy.
Yes.
And I had to literally make a conscious mindset shift. And when I chose joy and I started going, what am I grateful for? Well, at least the pain's under control in bed flat with pillows. So I can't, I used to think I want to be in, at least if I was paralyzed, because I could still feel my legs, I just couldn't use them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, if I was just completely paralyzed, I'd have no pain and I could at least be functional in a wheelchair. Well, one of my main beautiful woman who's been my biggest inspiration, her name is Johnny Erickson Tata. Do you know of her?
No.
Well, she's a paraplegic, has been that way for 50 years,
Mm-hmm.
completely paraplegic. And she lives with horrible chronic pain, which
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense because you can't feel anything.
Right.
So then later it changed my perspective and it made,
Yeah.
okay, God, well, I could have had both.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you really can look at, any situation. And I was like, well, I have a roof over my head.
Mm-hmm.
My then husband made a good living. I have 4 little kids to love,
Mm-hmm.
so I had to start consciously doing that. And the more you do it, your brain is a muscle.
Yes.
And the more you do it, and I started saying positive affirmations, and literally you can rewire your brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Yes.
works.
Yes.
It really does.
It's
You have
just
to
purely
work at it.
programming. The mind,
Yes.
the brain actually is like a hard drive. This is what makes me lift my arms up and speak and do everything. It's the hard drive, but the mind is the programming. And this is where the problem is, because we have not only the lifetime that you're living in, conditioning of programming, but we actually have the DNA programming from our families, and even maybe even past life, or
that.
ancestral.
The DNA,
Yeah.
and even program you don't realize subconsciously
Yes.
passed down from your mother and her mother, and that's where you see the cyclical cycles, right?
Yes. And you don't even realize you're it. Right?
Correct. Until
Until you kind of outside in look and go, oh my goodness, I didn't know I did that. And when you can recognize the programming, go, this programming is detrimental to me. This programming doesn't even belong to me. It's somebody else's program. I need to delete that. But what you have to do is put a good program in its place. Now, it is said that it needs 8 positives to 1 negative.
Yes. Yes.
So every time you say something negative, you've got to have 8 positives. Right? And if you want to reprogram yourself into the brain wanting, or the mind wanting to think more positively and more wanting to look at possibilities, more wanting to look at opportunities, then you have got to constantly feed that. And if a negative comes up, 8 affirmations or positives immediately for it to go back to the positive side. It also raises the endorphins and their entire chemistry in our body to want to feel better.
Yes. And are you familiar at all with Caroline Leaf?
It rings a bell.
Well, she is a psychologist who has studied the brain, but she's also a person of faith. So she has looked at principles, right? Faith principles, and how they actually, it's so cool because a lot of times the spiritual world will discount the scientific world.
Yes.
But what I love about Caroline Leaf, I read this book and it was intense. Like you have to read it 3 or 4 times because there's so much what I call meat in it. But it was, excuse me 1 second. It was just so exciting as I was reading it because I knew this before. I've been helping people with and myself with positive affirmations, but I didn't know the science behind it.
Right.
But she has pictures and graphs, and it literally changes the neurons and the pathways.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
It's all energy. We've got to understand we are energetic creatures. Everything about us is energy, and energy needs to flow. The blood in our body needs to flow. The oxygen in our body needs to flow. The energy in our body needs to flow. When we get blocked chi, blocked energy, that's when we get disease or crippling back or other issues in there. Scientists are now beginning to understand that people that live in a spirituality of a higher vibration, love vibration for a starts at 585 hertz, people that live in that and higher, actually they can measure that frequency. And people who live in that vibration knowingly can't harm other people because it is to harm them. So the
That must
higher
be
we raise
why
that
I
vibration is
never,
better.
even from a child, like
Mm,
I could not hurt people.
right.
Like people would be mean to me. I
Yeah.
didn't know that then. And like, you know, say siblings or whatever, right? And it just normal sibling stuff. And I couldn't come back with the zingers or the, you know, I just couldn't do it. And I guess it's just the nature of how I was born.
Right.
I never wanted to cause people pain,
Right.
but I had to learn though how to protect myself from
That is
all
the
of
key.
that.
Yeah.
Because of that, I
Uh,
allowed way too much in and gave
mhm.
too much of myself in kindness, which
Yes.
really isn't kind to yourself. And it might sound a little weird to people. I don't know that aren't you used to this kind of a, you know, dialogue, but
This
the
is
truth.
entirely what my dialogue is.
Oh, this is your and
Yeah.
your audience is very familiar.
I'm completely dimensional person. Yes.
So, yeah, so and then the older I get, and I'm sure you're this way when you see the chaos in the world,
Yes.
it's painful to us.
The thing is, you know, we talk about borders all the time, but really what we need to understand is boundaries. And the boundary is
Yes.
this is my energetic vibration, right? I
Hmm.
am glad to meet you on my energy vibration or slightly low vibration and work with you there. I can't come down to that lower vibration because it's so full of anger and hate, it will gobble me up.
We
So
feel it. Yeah.
it's up to each and every one of us to want to rise up. Now, the universe gave me a saying a few years ago: the universe is going to shake us up to wake us up, for us to step up, change it up, and grow up. Grow up as a human race, stop being such a spoiled brat, and also grow up vibrationally. We are the
Mm.
change we seek, and we need to raise our frequency, we need to raise our vibration. And the more we do that, the more we invite people who are seeking a higher vibration, a higher level of living, and they will
Hmm.
reach out to us. Now, when they reach out to us, we can help them at a certain level and pull them up, but we can't go down there into the pit because they will pull us down.
Yes.
And there are other people, which I call the piranhas,
Yes.
and they just love taking the people that are vulnerable and sucking the life out of them and stopping them reaching that high level. This is why when you are in your own self-discovery, you have to close the doors on those people that don't wish you well, that
Which
aren't in your
doesn't,
corner.
which when you're super kind-hearted
Yes, it's
doesn't
hard.
seem kind.
No,
But
but
the
it's
truth,
imperative.
it's imperative, and you had to start viewing it as looking at kindness towards yourself. The cancer did that for me.
Yes.
um I, you know, set boundaries with, you know, so many circumstances and situations, but when it was certain toxic, I'm going to be careful, certain toxic people in my realm
Uh-huh.
that I cared about, that I couldn't, my eyes were open differently. And so when the cancer hit and I had all that, I went right back down. It was the worst emotionally I'd felt since that
Mm.
10 years in bed. And it was under all this was revealed to me that the cancer, the breast cancer, was from allowing
Yes.
continued toxicity because it
Yes,
shows up somehow.
it does.
And
It has to. Dis-ease,
yes. And
disease. It comes from dis-ease of mind, body, and soul.
so what I did, well, this part of the story. So I thought, I'm so positive. I've been through so much. It's cancer. They're going to cut it out. I'm going to get some treatments, radiation, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I minimized it because I'm so tough, because I've been through a tremendous amount,
Mhm.
many surgeries, spinal surgeries, wide awake. So I thought, oh, this is a little blip in the radar. No, my body is highly sensitive to chemicals, to
Yes.
just about
Mhm.
everything. And so when they went in there and did what they did, it wasn't minor. It was
Right.
major.
Yes.
And then what happened was they did not listen to me, treating me, while I'm so grateful they're so smart as a surgeon. The whole body, the mainstream does not work with, nor do they understand that everybody recovers different.
Right.
And so because I'm still in a lot of times in a chair, and I don't have that core strength like most people do, I would have to transfer, push up with my arms, push up out of bed, push up, roll over, push up to get out of chairs. Well, you're not supposed to use your arms, and they
Right.
did not even prepare me for that.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing up, and after about, I don't know how long, within six. I called them. Actually, my husband called them. I was in tears. I couldn't roll over. I couldn't get to the restroom. I was paralyzed. Both arms became completely inflamed so much with inflammation and nerve damage that I was paralyzed. And they had no clue. They're like, we don't understand. And
Mhm.
I had tried to tell them beforehand, Sarah, I'm really concerned. My friends are saying you can't use your arms for 6 weeks. Well, I push up. Now everyone has the same situation. They all have to sit up the same. They kept saying 3 times they went back to her and it was rushed.
Yes.
No, and they're rushing because they don't want you to die.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, they're the doctors. I'm going to do what but
Mhm.
sure enough, had I listened to my intuition
Yes.
and slowed down and got a lift chair
Yeah.
so that I didn't hurt my arms. So guess what? Here we are 3 years later. Thank God you see I got my hands, but I can't go higher than this. This is it. So I was so humbled. I had to have everything was stripped away again.
Mhm.
And because the paralyzation lasted for 2 years, and then I kept trying to push up because I didn't want to stop. I'd gotten back to work, started to get back to work, and I kept relapsing because the damage in the shoulders no one could understand. Then when it happened and I got up the final time, and that was it. It was the paralyzation was permanent, and then the discs ruptured, and it was like that perfect storm. My
Mhm.
body said, you cannot keep going like
You're
this.
right.
And they didn't really know what to do. And so I went alternative routes and had been this long journey. But through it, I realized, what can I do during this time? What can I do? I'm going to go crazy if I just sit here literally in a lazy boy recliner paralyzed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't work. Before that was my saving grace, because with the spinal injury, the computer became my saving
Yeah.
grace, right? And so God was like, this is going to slow you down.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't say it, but this is what I'm interpreting. I had at least 6 really powerful books on the boundaries and getting
Mhm.
rid of the old toxic, which I thought I had, but it's different
Yeah.
levels. So what did I do? I listened to every single powerful audiobook because I couldn't read. So I listened to audiobooks. I'm like, again, here's the resilience. What can I do?
Mhm.
Not what I can't do, what I can. I still got my brain. I might be in a lot
Right.
of pain. I might not be able to, I might be paralyzed and stuck in this chair, but what can I take advantage of while I'm in this situation? So all of these books just reaffirmed. And I also learned, which I never did before because I used to swim, I learned about breathing,
Mhm.
meditative breathing, because I had to have something to calm me down. I had such anxiety, and your body's designed to move.
Yes.
And if you don't move and you're already prone to anxiety, which I am,
It tightens your body right up.
yeah. So
Mhm.
so I listened to all these books, and then I found YouTube channels from other coaches and did continuing education on the psyche so that
Mhm.
I could heal deeper. And guess what? When I came out of it, I'm like, I got to be kinder to myself. After years of the horrific pain and losing my arms, if it was just a simple blip of the cancer, I might not have got that lesson because
Mm.
I'm so strong-willed and such a dynamo and a mover and a shaker. But I took that time, and you know what? I will not go back. Like, I'm so protective of myself now.
Yes.
I'm like, don't mess with me. I'm nice, but guess what? I will tell you, leave me alone. You are
Mhm.
not good for my mental or emotional health. I have no problem saying it now. And I let go of old toxic family members. And I was like, if you want to get some therapy and you can handle and we can talk, but I will not enter in anymore to this old dysfunction because
Right.
there's no way I'm ever going through this again.
It's too
So,
shattering. In fact, when you walk away from it, and then if you do get to be around it, you realize how cutting like a knife it is. All right. And
mhm,
you just can't be around it.
mhm,
I have particular people I know that I just, when they're in a certain energy, I can't be around them. I love you, but I can't be around you, because I
yeah,
know that it will literally have me shaking, and it will be so detrimental on my health, my well-being, and who's going to look after me if that happens, right? I'm
yes,
looking after
yes,
myself. There is nobody else. I
that's
can't
right.
afford that. So it is, as you pointed out earlier on, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to say no. You know,
Oh,
that magical world. No, no, thank you. Not at this time. Thank you. I don't need it. Thank
yes.
you. No, no. And, we've been so taught that we need to say yes to everything. No, if I can do it and I want to do it, I am there for you. If I
Mm-hmm.
can't do it and it's something that is detrimental to me or is going to strain me too much or deviate me from what I do, then the answer is no. Very clearly.
Absolutely. And we were women in general programmed. I don't care how good of a parent you
Yeah.
have, be a good little nice girl,
Yes.
be sweet. So,
Yes.
otherwise you're viewed as rebellious or, what have you. Um, or non-compliant or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may
Spoiled
be.
brat. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with you fully in that that no word, that was not something that
No.
came. Of course, my parent would tell you as a child, oh no, I was very
Yeah.
strong-willed. But as then they don't like that. So they, those unless you're creative, like I had a strong-willed one like that, and I had to give them choices. I learned better parenting skills.
Yes.
So then you got to go back to that reprogramming, and affirmations are a wonderful resource for that.
Yes. And it's okay. I mean, you love someone very much. It's okay to have a distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and that when you feel that that vibration is back on level, then you can be with them. But if there's something they're going through or that negativity comes up, you cannot help them if they've shattered your energy, if they've thrown
Mm-hmm.
your equilibrium out. It's a
Mm-hmm.
detriment to you and it is of no help to them. And it's okay to
You're
say,
right.
see you later.
And let's take that into the corporate world, right? With
Mm-hmm.
all the women in business, it's similar that they don't feel like, they can't say no, right? They don't know how to delegate. They don't know how to let go. They don't know how to, that it's not okay to say no,
Yeah.
even if they're the boss,
Yeah.
right? No, that, they feel obligated to do that, to do it all until they're depleted.
Yes.
And Sherry Riley, she has a book on exponential living, and it is powerful. And one of the things she says in there, and this is one of those books that I listened to over and over again, and it says, "No is a complete sentence."
Yes.
You
I
don't
had to
even have to
thank
give
you
an
to it just because I'm brought up that way. No, thank you.
say that. I
No,
do
thank you.
too. I
Yeah.
can't just say
No.
no.
Yes. No,
I
no, thank
still,
you.
like, I appreciate the offer. However, I always try to soften the
Yeah.
no.
But it's also the tone in which you say it in. You can say it softly but firmly. No, thank you.
Correct.
No, thank you.
Now, what do
Right?
you do? What do you do, Sarah, though, if they don't accept your no? You get tougher, right?
Um,
What do you
yes,
do?
my tone changes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as my kids say, the mama comes out because when I go into a deeper voice, then they know, right? They've crossed the line there. And for me, I'm obviously working online, which many people are nowadays. And if you will not accept that no and you're still pushing, I simply delete you. That's it. I've said no, you haven't respected it. Delete.
And that is because you respect yourself.
Yes. Why should
And
I have to keep going through this, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Your own health and well-being has to be top priority.
Yeah.
Because if you don't say the no's when you need to, your health will suffer. Like I see women, I see them on this trajectory, right, of what we talked about. And I've had them not hire me.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone out and spoken, they've come back to me later, because
Yeah.
they'll get on my list or what have you. You are right. You said if I did not slow down,
Mm-hmm.
my health was going to suffer. And you tried to prevent it because you gave me your example. You wanted me to learn from you, but I didn't listen. And then my heart and hope is to get these women before that they hit that brick wall,
Right. But
right?
sometimes, they need to hit the brick wall, but what you've done is already planted the seed of change
Mm-hmm.
within them. And they suddenly recognize, okay, I can see what's growing now. Right.
You're right.
But I think
Sometimes you're right. It's all the timing,
it
right?
is timing when we're ready. When you're ready, the teacher is there. And sometimes people like yourself, had to go to the limit before, you would accept. But I think, one of the biggest lessons that we can learn is you can't please everyone, and nor are you meant to.
Mm.
You put out your best product, be it yourself, be whatever it is you're doing, you're putting out yourself. If other people don't buy, don't sweat it, because your vibration and what you are going to offer is going to go to the people who receive your vibe, that
You're
become your
right.
tribe. If
You're
they
right.
don't get you or receive you, then they're not ready for you or whatever it is you're selling. Stop trying to be one size fits all. It's absolutely impossible, and it will cost you way too much pain and suffering.
Yeah, whether it's emotionally or
Yeah,
physically, right? Or
yeah,
mentally,
yes,
correct.
all of above.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is fruitless. You cannot, it is utterly impossible, impossible to be something to everybody. Now,
Right.
you can be of an illumination that becomes an inspiration to people that resonates out with many. Yes, you can be that, but you can't fake that. You know the people who are the grandstanders. They may say the words and they may get the people up on the sugar high, but it doesn't last. And then you know the people that speak from the heart and the soul, the very essence of who they are. They're guided, they're channeled. And when they speak, it's a warm, beautiful ripple effect that goes out, that throws its arms around the people, and it just
Yeah.
penetrates into their heart. Those are the
Yes.
illuminators. Don't be fooled by the glitz and the glam. If it hits your heart and soul, then it's the truth. If it just inspires your mind and gets you excited, question it.
That's that sugar high, right? It's
Yeah.
temporary. It's temporary.
And the crash is rather hard.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. You're a very wise woman.
Been there, done that.
We learn from experience, right?
We do.
Yes,
We
yes.
do.
And I do find when I see caregiver or not caregivers, healthcare providers, right now I'm seeing one for the shoulders. I have all these, scar tissue adhesions that are sticking like limiting my arms. And it's very painful because it's all these. If you think about someone on the outside that has scars and you see it all gnarly, well,
Yeah.
that's what's on the inside, adhering to the other skin and nerves. And so it rips every time I move the arms.
You have fiber optic damage,
Is that,
myofascial pain. Basically, what
yes.
is, you have your skin and you have the nerves, but there is that white sinewy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you see the blood. And it has tiny millions of little fiber optics that go from the brain to make things work. If they're damaged, then they lose the mobility. It does take a lot of therapy. Sometimes it never comes back, but actually something I don't know if you've tried is acupuncture. The right acupuncturist can bring chi energy back into that and help it reignite.
For this, I did it for the spine. It didn't help, but it's actually something I should think about for the shoulders now, the shoulders and arms. But I'm seeing this chiropractor physician that has a machine for myoskeleton, I believe it is, myofascial skeleton. Is
Right.
that the word? I may
Well,
be saying it.
my fascial pain is the fiber optic pain.
There we go.
My skeleton is actually dealing with the bone structure.
No, it's
But
what you
my
said.
my fascial fiber optics
So it's
of
it's
the thing. Yeah.
it's called a myacta machine,
Right.
and it penetrates with I think it's sound. I believe it's sound.
Yes. Yes. Sound
Deep.
is, yes,
And it's
incredible.
going through, and
Yeah.
it's been miraculous so far, and I
Right.
expect to get full use back.
Yes.
But again, many of the doctors were like clueless, and
Yeah,
they
but
were
you got to
like,
understand that let's understand what doctors do. They're great at putting things back together, legs, hearts, this, that, etc. But they're not in the wellness business.
you're
They're in the
right.
fixing business.
Yes.
Right? And once they've kind of fixed you in a sense of their limitation, you now need to go to the wellness people that can sustain that healing so that it lasts longevity. Don't look to Western medicine as the be all and the end all. It is only 150, 200 years old. Yes, it's miraculous. I've counted on it saving my life. But at the same time, once it's done in their department, they don't know anything on the other. They're not being trained. It's not that you now then need to do your own research.
Yes.
And listen to other people, talk to other people. What did they try? What's happening? I didn't know about the myofascial pain.
Okay.
I didn't understand it until 16 years into my disease. I have fibromyalgia. And it's actually when somebody described what it was, actually, no, it was actually somebody I had on the show. And when they described it, it was like, oh my God, because a doctor had told me but didn't explain it. Then I had somebody on the show that actually explained what it was.
Made more sense
And
then.
it made more sense, and it also made more sense in my lack of mobility, right? Now, when you understand that, then you go, okay, all right, so what now can I do? And who else is out there that is dealing in this? So we need to do our own research and find out exactly what is wrong with us beyond the surface.
Yes.
And then look for the people who specialize in that, and don't always think it's a doctor. The alternative medicine, which has been around pretty well for thousands of years.
There's so many other things we can do, because a lot of it is internal, right? That they're not aware of, the traditional doctors.
Right.
But back to my point about the specialist knowing what you need, like you said, usually it's people who understand whatever that is, are better at whatever their vocation is. He has had, I think he told me 30 different surgeries. So he's, whenever I get discouraged or, I flare, right? So I can only go so far. And if it inflames, I got to wait. Whereas other people, physical therapists over the last couple of years, have been frustrated with me
because you haven't gone quicker than what they want.
Yes.
And then it's what's wrong with you. You're not trying, you're blocking it. Right?
Which is not good when you're like, everything in you wants it to work.
Exactly.
So,
it's just that your system isn't working for me. That's as simple as it is. Yeah.
But he's working on me, but he not only is he trained, of course, in his knowledge of training as a chiropractor and physician, but he gets it.
Yes.
He's had the pain, he's had the disability to where it's hindering him. He knows the emotional, he also knows the ups and downs of recovery.
Right.
So it's helped me recover better, not just with the machine, but with his understanding. And so as a coach, I love what I do, because I've done tons of, I took 2 years as an apprentice for coaching. And I also took continuing education and psychology courses and business courses. But you know what helps me the most is that my clients go, it feels like you're reading my mind.
Exactly. Connection.
And it's because I've lived it. I can relate. Yeah. And I can, because I've been through so much, I can relate to, just sadly for me, but great for everyone else, is like, you can't hardly tell me anything that's going to shock me, or anything you've been through, and then I can't give you hope for, and give you like resilience to rise up above it, whatever that might be. And it's such a blessing. And I feel so grateful to be able to do this. It's my passion. I'm happy I'm alive, and I'm happy for those Western doctors that knew precisely how to take the cancer out. And I'm happy that I'm back at it. And just so happy to even just be here with you today.
Right. And that is the thing, right? Being present. And if we learn to be present in the moment instead of chasing the next moment, the gift of the present is in the now. It's in the now. When you're present in the now, even the seeds that you plant now will be what you water and nurture in the next moment. And if we can learn to be present, we'll understand the gift of life. Also, if we learn to be still, there is something absolutely beautiful in silence, in just being still and in silence, because there is so much revealed in that time.
Yes.
So much. And it's like, don't go and be silent to looking what's going to be revealed. Just literally switch off.
Well, here's an example. This is so easy for people to relate to. Think about when something's on the tip of your tongue, right? And you go, I can't remember, well, I'm trying to think of someone's name, or somebody you saw a movie star you saw on TV, you're trying to remember they are, and you go, oh, forget it. Well, guess what happens when you're still and you stop? Guess what? Doesn't it pop up eventually? It usually go, oh, where'd that come from?
Right.
So that's like an easy illustration of what you just talked about.
We're all looking for clarity, but we're looking for it on the outside instead of the inside. When we are still, we allow the divine to come through us. As I said, it resonates with our heart and truth. It ignites our spirit into action, and our mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. If we only think in thought, if we only think from the brain, then we are actually missing out the intellect on the soul, heart, and spirit. And that is God's way of talking to us. And God can't talk through a closed heart. Your heart has to be open. And the more it's open, the more divine wisdom you get, the more it resonates in that spirit where you want to go into action, and more the clarity comes of what to do with it.
Yes. And speaking of clarity, that's one of the things that a big thing what I do for my clients is they're just sort of all over the place,
Yeah.
right? And they just need like I have had one lady for 5 years now. I keep thinking, why is she still with me? Like I sort of graduate them to just like a maintenance, program
Yeah.
after the initial program. But she says, if I don't make, because she's a busy high corporate woman, running a big corporation. And so she says, if I don't stop and take this time to talk with you, then she goes, I can't believe how much like just talking it out with you as a sounding board helps me. Because
You're her compass.
Yes, because like she
Yeah.
already pretty much knows.
Yes.
But if you don't, she slows down.
Yes.
And
she's able to articulate it to someone who understands. It's not looking to you for the answers. It's looking for her to find the answers within herself and slowing down. So she receives the clarity because you are that compass that brings her back to the center point.
Perfectly said. Yes.
And we all need that in our lives. We talked earlier about community, the village raising our kids, people being there to support each other. I didn't have family around me raising my kids. I had a husband that wasn't always around. And even with this disease, I'm on my own with this. I'm not even covered medically for it. So it's just something, literally, I have to transport my whole psyche out of my body in order to help my body. But we need to be there to help each other. And don't go, oh, yes, I've got the answer for you. Just do this. Right? Because it may work for you, but that doesn't mean it works for us. Instead, change the tone and say, I have found this works for me. Would you like to give it a try and see if it works for you?
Exactly. Because truthfully, not one person is the same.
No.
So I don't coach with a system of A, B, C, D.
Right.
And
in 8 weeks, you're going to be all cured and everything's going to be fine and you're going to be on your way. No.
It doesn't work that way. They will now, let me tell you though, they will get a huge dose of inspiration and like, wow, I can do this.
Yes.
Ready to soar. But then it's going to take work on their part, right?
Yes.
It's going to take work we work as a team. That's how I view it.
You're not there to do it for them or even necessarily to tell them what to do. It is there to show them how to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
These are the skills. These are the tools. This is the mindset. This is the heart set. This is the divine set. Put this all together and apply.
Yes.
If you don't apply, it's not going to work for you.
Absolutely. Right? Now, Sarah, as much as I've enjoyed talking, I have to go to my physical therapist for more of this shocking stuff for my shoulders. My husband's at the door waiting for me. So,
okay, my love. So tell people how to get hold of you. What is your site and what's the best way of getting hold of you?
Okay. So if they could reach us at www.cheerfulhearts.com, they can find us there. If they want to reach out to me, they'll see that there's a free consult, quick complimentary consult. There is also my email address, but I have a gift for your audience that I really want them to get a hold of. Okay.
Yes.
Because everything we've talked about here today, this is going to jumpstart that for them. And because the majority of who I help are these busy business women, it needs to be quick. So I have something that's going to very quickly, and it won't take much of their time to consume, give them some tools to start applying what we just talked about. So if it's called the Exhausted Women's Cheat Sheet to Crushing Worry so you can sleep at night. And this is a great little quick power pack thing that you'll get in your email. If you go to cheerfulhearts.com/kindness, they will be able to get a hold of that. And then they'll be on my mailing list, and I'll continue to support them in any way that I can.
Wonderful. So folks, really, it's all about the Cheerful Heart, hearts.com, cheerfulhearts.com. And when we have a cheerful heart, we really then are putting ourselves on the right path to our own recovery. Remember, we're not meant to do it ourselves. It's damn hard doing it on your own. You need somebody there that understands what you're going through, that can work with you at your own pace, but still also holds you accountable for doing it. Becomes your cheerleader, but sometimes maybe your school teacher. Have you got your homework done?
Yeah. And you know what's so cool is that my clients will tell me it's the accountability is the best part, because they're
Yeah.
like, oh shoot, I wouldn't have done it, but I knew I was going to talk to you the
Yeah,
next day.
exactly. And don't forget, you're doing it for yourself. She's here to help you do it for yourself. And the more you do it for yourself, the more abundant you become in life, and the more that you can help everyone else.
You got it, Sarah. I want to thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed just our conversation.
Thank you very much. Until next time, folks, remember, a cheerful heart is a great start and it's a great medicine for yourself. But LauraBeth is here to help you get back on track and really place the value where it is, which is within you. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom, and the next show will be up in just a moment.